We just arrived in Rimini, Italy.
And this city has way more history than what we expected.
Welcome to Retire to Rome. I'm LJ.
I'm Russell. We're retired, traveling full-time.
On a budget and loving every minute of it.
Right behind us is the Arch of Augustus here in Rimini, Italy, and it's the oldest surviving triumphal arch in northern Italy, and it dates all the way back to 27 BC.
And it's apparently in very good condition for its age. A lot more than I can say for us sometimes, so let's go take a closer look.
This arch once marked the end of the famous Via Flaminia, the ancient Roman road that connected Rome to the city of Rimini. If you look closely at the carvings, you can see symbols of Roman gods like Jupiter, Neptune, Apollo, and Minerva, which were meant to protect the city.
Considering this structure is over 2,000 years old,
it still surprises us that it's still standing and so well preserved here in the city of Rimini. Right now we're standing in Piazza Tre Martiri here in Rimini, and this square actually sits where the ancient Roman Forum once was over 2,000 years ago. Back then this would have been the center of city life, kind of like the town square. Today you'll see people walking, biking, grabbing a coffee, but the history under your feet here goes all the way back to the Roman Empire.
Behind us here is Rimini's old clock tower, built in the 1500s. But what makes it really interesting is that it's not just a clock. The dial underneath actually works as a calendar, showing the months, days, and even the zodiac signs. Centuries ago, people standing in this square could look up and know not just the time, but what part of the year they were in. As you're leaving the square, you'll notice this bronze statue of Julius Caesar, and believe it or not, history says he actually spoke to his troops in this very spot back in 49 BC. That was right after he crossed the Rubicon River, which basically started a Roman civil war. So standing here, you're literally in the place where one of the most famous moments in Roman history happened. Turning the corner, we've just walked into Piazza Cavour, and for centuries this was basically the political center of the city. Important announcements were made right here in the square, and markets were held here too. This building you see now is a medieval civic palace facing the main square. Built in the early 1300s, it served as the seat of local government and remains one of Rimini's most significant examples of Romanesque Gothic architecture. Well, I don't know about government, but we walked in and found a free art exhibit called the Itineraria de Moda, Riviera of Dreams. It highlights how the Adriatic Riviera, especially Rimini, became famous for beach culture, summer fashion, and nightlife starting in the 1950s. Definitely not our normal thing, but it was interesting to say the least.
to me that's just a perfect example of we would have never paid to have gone to an exhibit about fashion, and we had no idea it was here, but just walking along and being able to find things like that, to me, is very interesting.
Right in the middle of the square is the Fontana della Pigna, a fountain that's been here since the 1500s. If you look closely, you'll notice numbers carved into the stone around the edge. Those were used to mark different spots where people would line up to collect water when this was the city's main public fountain. And there's even a story that Leonardo da Vinci once stopped here to study how the water flowed through the fountain. The pine cone on top is where the fountain gets its name, Pigna, which means pine cone in Italian.
I think Russ is going to try it.
Pretty good.
It's good?
It's a quality H2O.
Okay, so if he starts puking here in a little bit, we'll know what caused it.
Right behind the fountain is the old fish market, which dates back to the 1700s. Fishermen from the Adriatic would bring their catch here early in the morning and lay it out on these big marble tables. The marble helped keep the fish cool, and the grooves carved into the stone made it easy to wash everything down at the end of the day. And the fountains on the end of the corners that looked like fish were used to actually clean tools and the fish themselves. Today, the fish market is long gone, but the tables are still here, and now the area is surrounded by cafes and little bars, so it's still a pretty lively place to hang out.
This is a neoclassical building right here in the heart of the square, and it was originally built in 1857, and it housed a lot of opera performances. Tragically, it was bombed during the World War II by Allied forces. It sat abandoned and bombed out for over 70 years before a massive revival. Now it's Rimini's pride, blending 19th century elegance with top-notch modern events. It opened in 2018.
We really enjoy getting out and just walking. No real plan, just walking around and seeing what we run into. There's little shops, cafes, and these old buildings everywhere. You never know what you're going to find around the next corner, and it gives you a real sense of local life.
All right, so we're on the Ponte de Tiberio here in Rimini. Now, just to be clear, we talked about Julius Caesar earlier, but he did not actually cross this particular bridge. He did, however, march through Rimini after famously crossing the Rubicon River, which is about 70 kilometers away. This bridge, though, was built later. Construction started under Augustus and finished by Tiberius around 21 AD. If you look closely at the stone, you'll see a Latin inscription dedicating it to Tiberius, and even some small carvings from the original builders, almost like their signatures. It's wild to think this has stood for almost 2,000 years, and people are still walking across it today. Make sure to take time to actually walk across the bridge. We honestly almost skipped this part, but we're so glad that we didn't. There is a little neighborhood just across the bridge, and it is known for its murals. They were painted by several people over the years, a bunch of local artists, both known and anonymous. They've covered the walls with everything from fishing scenes to little nods to Federico Fellini, who actually grew up here. If you don't know, Fellini was one of Italy's most famous movie directors, and a lot of his films were inspired by the sea. One of his most famous movies was La Dolce Vita. Walking through these streets, it's like strolling through a living art gallery. Every corner has something new to see, and it really shows the creativity and history of Rimini. We walked down just a couple of the streets here because the day was getting short, but we probably saw at least 20 murals just in the short time we were there. The little neighborhood has a number of cafes to sit at as well, and since it's right along the banks of the river, it's a great place to sit and just kind of catch your breath and enjoy the people sitting out on the grassy area around the bridge.
Now we're making our way over to Castel Sismondo, and honestly, a lot of people don't even notice it. Built in the 15th century, it was designed both as a fortress to protect the city and himself as a way to show off his power and influence. The doors were actually closed today, but even from the outside you can feel the history. Massive walls, towers, and courtyards where centuries ago knights and nobles walked. Today, the castle hosts exhibitions, events, and the Fellini Museum, celebrating Rimini's famous filmmaker. It's a reminder that there's so much history packed into Rimini, and sometimes the best spots are the ones most people miss.
So Rimini has turned out to be an interesting mix of Roman history, local Italian life, and beach living.
Of course, the time of the year we're here, the beach is probably not going to be your thing or whatever.
Yeah, we're here at the end of winter, beginning of spring. So if you're wanting to come for the beaches, probably now is not the time to come. But if you're wanting to miss the crowds, enjoy the cool spring air, it's in the upper 50s today, and just enjoy getting out and touring and visiting some of these historic sites, now is the perfect time to come.
Yeah.
Remember the guy who Russell told us built the fortress? Well, he also built this structure, and I hope I can get this name right. It is the Tempio Malatestiano. and it's Rimini's most famous church. It was also built in the 15th century. It's packed with incredible art, marble, and the tombs of the Malatesta family. Definitely a must-see if you love history and art. And a little controversy. Let's talk about it.
A little known fact is that Pope Pius II actually excommunicated Malatesta in 1460, largely because the church was seen as an arrogant, non-Christian monument celebrating pagan gods and profane things, rather than a humble place of worship. Another fact is that the architect designed the facade to include the letters SI, the initials of Sigismondo and his mistress/wife, intertwined in the arches. Throughout the structure you can find carvings of elephants and rose hips, which are the heraldic symbols of the Malatesta family. The cathedral houses a rare and valuable crucifix painted by Giotto around 1312. It also holds a famous fresco showing Sigismondo Malatesta before his patron saint, Saint Sigismund. The church suffered severe damage during World War II bombings in 1943, requiring major restoration efforts that lasted until 1950.
After Sigismondo died, no one really had the money, the influence, or the interest to finish the project. The Malatesta family had lost power, and later rulers were focused on politics and defense instead of completing the church. And they probably didn't want their name associated with a project that had had so much controversy. That's why it still looks a little unfinished today, but that is part of its charm.
All right, so we've had a full day here in Rimini, and we have crossed over a 2,000-year-old bridge.
We walked under a 2,000-year-old arch.
Yeah, we went to a museum that had some, I guess, fashion on display that we had no idea. And Russell drank out of a water fountain that I thought might kill him.
Yeah, but Leonardo da Vinci actually looked at it and said it was a nice-looking fountain.
And several hours later, he's still fine, so there's no problem there, hopefully.
The water was fine.
Right now, we're sitting out on the edge of the ocean, still trying to figure out exactly how the beach works here. Obviously, this is, as we said earlier, the end of winter, beginning of spring, so you can definitely see people are working this afternoon, this evening, getting the beach ready for the summer season. But we do know that a lot of the beach here, you do have to pay like €30 for a beach chair. We've heard anywhere between 20 and 30.
Yeah, that and an umbrella. It comes with an umbrella.
Yeah. But there are free beaches somewhere, I don't know where, but again, it's so cold right now. It's the water that that's not what we're here for, but has a huge beach scene, lots of volleyball and activities and restaurants and all kinds of things. So it's probably a pretty happening place in the summer. I don't know. But I guess we're going to wrap it up. And
yeah, I mean, if you've been anywhere, have you been to Rimini, Italy? Have you been in Italy? What was your favorite place? Leave it in the comments. And if you feel like we've entertained you or brought any kind of value in this video, we would appreciate if you subscribe to our channel, Retire to Rome, and follow along with us, because we do have some more upcoming videos of Italy, and if you want to see them, just hit that subscribe button and that bell notification to let you know when we release a new video.
So I guess we'll wrap it up. We're tired.
Yeah,
we're heading back to the room, and so we're going to end it here and just say thank you all for watching. As always, have a blessed day and safe travels.